Welcome back to my shop. I'm Sean Winter of Winter Apocalypse, and this time we're going to make a belt. And probably, as you already figured, this is not going to be your average leather belt for your suit pants. This is going to be a proper Wasteland belt made out of a bike tire. This is actually not the first time I've made a bike tire belt. I made one for this pair of Wasteland pants, which are the first Wasteland pants that I made, which I made from my first Wasteland costume, which is the big Viking armor, which I'll show you a picture of here. So as you can see, this Wasteland belt is made of a fairly tough bike tire, like a proper off-road bike tire, and also this homemade belt buckle, which this piece we found in an abandoned factory by my old house, and we welded on this knob to be able to connect the belt, and also this thing to like hold the belt in place, and I pop riveted on 2 pop rivets here to make this flap here to keep the belt buckle in place. Now the reason I'm making a new bike tire belt and not using the one I have is because I want it to look completely different. I want to accessorize it completely different, and it's going to go with this fur coat, which will be a new addition to me as a ringleader for the Wasteland Warriors when we do the cage fights and all this. Now if it wasn't obvious already, to make a bike tire belt you will need a bike tire. So you go find yourself a good old bike and you take the tire off it. Now this is my personal bike that I use every day. Actually, I don't use it every day either. I use public transport most of the time, that's why I'm standing here. But you need a wheel, so you get a wheel from a different bike, a wheel that you found somewhere, instead of taking it off the bike that actually works. Working with these tires is a fairly easy thing, especially when they're as rotten, as old as this one, because it easily cuts down here with a scissor or a sharp blade. The only problem is that I got this steel wire in here, so I gotta cut it. Here's just a quick tip to all you Wastelanders that are starting off. When you start making costumes, I did exactly the same thing. You start collecting everything from everywhere, which is a part of Wastelanding. You automatically become a hoarder, really. But when you work on something and you cut stuff off something, you also think this way. You also think, oh, I gotta keep this, gotta save this, use it for future projects. You gotta look at things and think, what can I use this for? Is it useful at all? Or should I save it? Or else your workspace just becomes full of shit. So, for example, this part here, I cut this out of the wheel just now to make the belt, make it thinner. This part here, I don't need this for anything in the future. It's also very brittle and old. It breaks super easy. Can't use it for absolutely anything. So, it goes in the trash. And here's another example. This thing is the whole string that went around the wheel, or the rods, the wire. This also I can't use for anything. It's ugly, it won't look nice in anything. It's just a wire inside nasty old plastic, so this also goes in the trash. This part is a part of the wheel, which I cut out. This I can use for something. I don't know what, but I can, and I will find a use for it eventually. Maybe in a year, or maybe in 5 years, no fucking idea. But these things are the things you keep. So you look at what you cut off, what you've used, and keep things that you see you can use again, and throw away shit that is just shit. But it's your eye that chooses what's shit or not shit. I just saw shit here except for this part, so this part I keep. I've gotten to the point where I've got the edges cut. We'll probably refine that a little bit later. And I got this cut in half. But of course, you can't have a belt if you can't lock it together. So I ordered just a super simple belt buckle. This thing, super easy, super simple. But then again, this is not very Wasteland, so I gotta make this look a little bit more authentic, worn, old, whatever you want to call it. So to start off the process of making this look a little bit more old, worn, wastelandy, I gotta rough it up because this has like a protective layer around it. So if I want to try and rust it, it is kind of rust, but it's going to take way longer if I don't take this layer off. So I'm going to start off by taking a sandpaper to it and maybe burning it, and yeah, let's just see what I decide to do. Now that I have sanded off most of the protective layer on this, which was either zinc or stainless, or I don't really know what it was, but it's off now. So I'll have to rust it now. And by that, I have to make it smell like my favorite potato crisp flavor, which is salt and vinegar. And to really activate all this, I'm gonna add some of this, which is hydrogen peroxide, or in German, it's this thing that or in German, it's this, which I can't pronounce, but yeah. So the salt, vinegar and hydrogen peroxide didn't really do the effect that I was looking for on the belt buckle. It just made my entire place smell like a chippy, really. Instead, I made a little bit of battle scars or like old corrosions or stuff like this with just a Dremel with a cut-off bits, and just took the corners and a little bit where you would get wear. And then I took this stuff, which a friend of mine sent me, and just painted it on. It's just a weird liquid that's like make everything look old and rusty and stuff. It's actually really effective. Actually, I'll show you how quick this stuff works by just cutting a little bit more into this steel to make a little bit more of those damage effects that I talked about, and I'll show you how quick it works. Okay, now notice how shiny those parts that I just cut are, and check this out, how quick this works. Wow. And it's already blackened. See? Looks cool already. Like I said, I have no idea what this stuff is, but it works wonders. Now I have absolutely no... Oh yeah, you noticed I changed my hair, yeah, because it's like 2 days later. Anyway, now I have absolutely no idea if you can get this stuff in your neighborhood or wherever you live, because one, I don't know where you live, and two, I don't even know if I can get this stuff where I live. So there you have it, the bike tire Wasteland belt. It's a very easy build and it complements your Wasteland pants a hell of a lot. I suggest you do this. You can also put on a very different belt buckle, you can put on whatever you want. This is just a very simple belt buckle to show you how it's done, and also because I don't need it to be anything fancy, but I might change it in the future. That's why I put the bolts on there instead of the pop rivets that I did on the last belt. Oh yeah, by the way, I did change my hair again, because if you don't have the right parts to do a project, it might take you way too long, like it did for me now. Make sure you have the right parts before you start making the project, if you're in a hurry, or I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching.